Aldehyde fragrances are very popular, but they haven't always been that way, mainly because they're only about 100 years old, and before that they didn't really exist. People didn't know how to create them. Aldehyde perfumes are known for being kind of bright. Some are soapy, some are a little bit floral. All aldehydes in perfumes are synthetic. They have to be created in a lab, specifically by oxidating alcohol. And then an aldehyde itself is a carbon atom bonded to hydrogen and what's the other one? Oxygen. But besides the chemistry, there are also natural aldehydes, but those can't really be used in perfumery. So now there are a lot of aldehyde fragrances out there, but I'm going to kind of discuss the most prominent ones, I suppose. Starting with this one. So this one, Chanel number 5, is a very, very significant aldehyde perfume, mainly because it was the first perfume to use aldehydes. It was created in 1921, so very old, more than 100 years old. And it was revolutionary when the perfumer at the time was Ernst Beau, and he spent several months trying to figure out how to create aldehydes. And once he did, it was a huge hit. These aldehydes added a certain lightness and brightness to Chanel number 5, which perfumes back then didn't have, because it wasn't technologically available yet. But when they used aldehydes for this perfume, they also blended it with notes like neroli, bergamot, iris, jasmine, rose, along with some amber, oak moss, vanilla, and sandalwood. So all those combined with the aldehydes, because without the aldehydes, this perfume might seem a little bit dull, might seem a little bit standard, but with the aldehydes, it lightens and brightens the entire body of Chanel number 5. And people loved it back then. When it came out in the 20s, people were crazy about it, and I suppose people are still crazy about it today because it's still one of the best-selling perfumes in the world. So, along with Chanel number 5, I have to mention a lesser-known perfume, Le Mans, by Coty. Coty was a very popular brand also in the 20s. This came out in 1927 and was created specifically as a response to Chanel number 5. So a lot of people probably have not heard of this because the Coty brand has kind of gone underwater in recent years. But back in the day, they were very well known. They produced perfumes like Emeraude, L'Orient, lots of important French perfumes. But anyway, this particular perfume, Le Mans, smells, in my opinion, very similar to Chanel number 5. And they also use aldehydes. The aldehydes is really what makes Chanel number 5 unique, and it makes sense that as a response that, you know, they're also using aldehydes. Le Mans also has some similar floral notes, rose, ylang ylang, jasmine, and stuff like that, and also similar base notes including sandalwood, musk, vanilla, with some wood notes. So very similar notes, and just a similar kind of, when you put it on, it's hard to tell the difference between these two. I would say that the aldehydes in Le Mans are not quite as bright and distinct as in Chanel number 5, but that's very minor, you know, it doesn't play too much of a difference between these two. And they're both very good aldehyde fragrances. So now, one that you might not expect to be an aldehyde fragrance is this one, Youth Dew by Estee Lauder. So this is unique because usually aldehyde fragrances are, I mean, like this, like Chanel number 5, floral, you know, light fragrances. Youth Dew is the opposite. Youth Dew is a crazy concoction of spices and musk and floral notes, I suppose. There are some floral notes, but Youth Dew is a much heavier fragrance. Has cloves, cinnamon, narcissus, balsam, incense notes, amber. It's a very heavy fragrance, but it still has aldehydes. And those aldehydes probably are what save this perfume, because it's so heavy, it's so spicy and rich. It reminds me a little bit of molasses, actually, now that I think about it. But those aldehydes lighten it up. It's like adding lemon juice to like a thick sauce. It breaks it up a little bit. And those aldehydes really keep the spice notes and the musk notes and the incense from getting too thick or just too crazy. And it really keeps it balanced. And the aldehydes pair well also with some fruit notes, including orange, peach, and bergamot mainly, and some floral notes like rose and lavender and narcissus. But the aldehydes, those unique little chemicals, really kind of pierce through this fragrance and make it very delightful, in my opinion. Some people don't like it, but I quite like it. And it's just a very of its time, because it came out in the 50s. A lot of prominent aldehyde fragrances are older. But yeah, Youth Dew is one that most people don't expect to be technically an aldehyde fragrance. Next one is this one. This is Le Du Temps by Niro Ricci. This is in the same vein as Chanel No. 5. Kind of just not standard, but it's what you'd expect from a floral aldehyde fragrance. It's actually one of my favorites because it's uniquely warm for a floral aldehyde fragrance. It has notes like rose, neroli, Brazilian rosewood, bergamot. It also has some cloves, actually, along with iris, musk, oak moss, amber, and some wood notes. So this is not your standard floral because it does have some warmer notes like those cloves, just kind of thrown in to kind of counteract the floral notes. And also the sandalwood and the amber and things like that. So it makes it really warm, but the aldehydes come in and make sure the whole perfume is nicely balanced. Not too heavy, but not too light. And aldehydes aren't just about lightening a fragrance, it also adds an extra layer of scent. Some aldehydes are soapy, some are floral, some smell like almonds, I suppose. And some are kind of hard to describe. They're just light, maybe a little bit alcoholic, which makes sense because they are oxidized alcohols. But Le Du Temps is also an older fragrance that came out in 1948. Very classic fragrance. And I would say it's timeless, but it's just a very smooth fragrance. There's nothing that is too sharp or kicks you in the face or anything. So that's just a very nice aldehyde fragrance right there. And then the last one that I have is Sicily by Dolce & Gabbana. So this one's a little bit tricky because it's kind of hard to find these days. The full bottle, very hard to find. I have the sample, obviously, so I think the samples are more easier to find. But Sicily is also very nice. It's actually very similar to Le Du Temps in terms of it's floral, but it also has a unique warmth to it. And its notes are mainly bergamot, aldehydes, orange blossom, and then it has some nutmeg, hibiscus, rose mixed with sandalwood, musk, and hyacinth. So all of those mix together and create a uniquely warm floral aldehyde fragrance. And the nutmeg is in particular a very strong note, and that's what kind of warms up the entire fragrance. But it still retains that light floral aspect similar to Le Mans or Chanel No. 5 or Le Du Temps. So All that mixed with the aldehydes lightens it up and makes for a very nice fragrance. And like I said, unfortunately, it's kind of hard to find these days, but if you do manage to find it, I mean, consider yourself lucky. It's a very nice fragrance. So those are the main options, or main recommendations here that I have for aldehyde fragrances. If you have any other recommendations or opinions about aldehyde fragrances, you can leave those down in the comments below. If you like the video, leave a like, maybe subscribe, and I make videos throughout the week, so stick around for those.